And I'm like, do I want to cheat? No. I said I understand why guys want to cheat. I have been feeling a lot of stress lately. A lot of stress in relationship with Melissa. We also have to pay first month's rent, which is another $6,000. So right now we're at $27,000 on day one.
The Bamboo Project Podcast starts in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Bamboo Project Podcast. I decided I wanted to help create 1,000 millionaires, including myself, and not by being a guru or selling a course, but by doing the things I already love to do every day and being transparent while documenting the process to get there. I figure I'll make all the mistakes so you don't have to. My name is DonivanGray, and this is how I will turn my life into a living. So first, I want to start off by giving a shout out to the Bamboo Project family. My goal is to see, is it really possible for someone like me to be worth $1 billion? That's the goal. And my plan to get there is creating 1,000 millionaires, including myself. We are currently streaming on all major streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. You name it, we on it. And if we're not on it, we about to be on it. The link for all of the audios will be in the description box below. For everyone listening to this podcast and not watching it, you can find us on YouTube at The Bamboo Project. We currently have over 350 videos on our channel. Dr. Sabi inspired cooking tutorials, we got that. Travel and lifestyle vlogs, got it. Makeup, got it. Hair growth, got it. Real estate, got it. Basketball, got it. It's everything us. So we post something on our story pretty much every single day. You can find me on Instagram at DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. The Bamboo Project is about turning your life into a living by making money off the things you do every day. For us, that's the food project, the music project, the clothing project, the fitness project, the sports project, and the Bamboo Project podcast, which you are listening to right now. This may be your first time here, and if it is, welcome to the family. But for everyone else, this is chapter 2, page 69. If you are new, this podcast has 4 different segments. All right, we have the life update. That is a weekly update on what we went through last week. We have episode playback. That is a recap of last week's episode and the things I could have done better. Then we have Donovan's questions. That is a question I had earlier in the week that I wanted to come and present to you. And then the 4th segment of the podcast is the topics of the day. All video and audio timestamps will be in the description box below. Today's date is July 13th. It is currently 5:46 p.m. And I've been trying something new recently. It's starting with screen time. So the reason why I like to start screen time off is because I think it's very good to know how much time people are putting into their phone, especially me. I need to know how much time I put in my phone, because the more time I put in my phone, the less money I'm going to be making. So, or at least let me not say that. That's not true. If I don't know how I'm spending my time on my phone, then that's when I start losing money and wasting time. So for the last week, my screen time is, let's see what we got here. Whew, all right. And it is 7 hours and 57 minutes is my average. Oh, no, it's not. It's 8 hours and 49 minutes a day on my cell phone. That's damn near 9 hours a day. It's up 10% from last week. So, well, I mean, I was gonna say there's kind of a little reason behind that. Excuse me. I think that's because we just went to Philadelphia. So that's gonna cause it to go up because I'm using Google Maps and things like that for the majority of the trip. But that was on Sunday and partially Monday. Sunday, I used my phone for 10 hours and 42 minutes. That's damn near 11 hours. That's half the day. Half of the day I was on my cell phone. And I'm definitely going to check to see how that happened. Then you got Monday. I was on my phone for 7 hours and 33 minutes. And then we have today, which is right now, it's 5:47 p.m. I've been on my phone for 8 hours and 10 minutes. It's getting crazy over here. It's getting sad. I definitely want to see what happened on Sunday that caused me to be on my phone for that long. Are they going to show me? Let me see if they'll show me. Okay, right. So I was on Waz, which is a navigation app, for 4 hours and 37 minutes. I was on Instagram for an hour and 15 minutes, Safari an hour and 13, YouTube 44, Google 34, and Notes 32, and some other, miscellaneous apps. 104 pickups, pretty high, definitely pretty high. Damn. Did I hit my limit on Instagram that day? I don't think I did. I know I already went over it today. I'm already at 2 hours and 16 minutes on my phone today on Instagram. On Instagram by itself, which is I don't know how that even happened. Maybe I have my phone open. Hopefully, I don't even know. That's crazy. BetterHelp, I was on there for an hour and 12. YouTube, an hour and 5. Safari, 50 minutes. Twitter, 40 minutes. Airbnb, 27 minutes. That's like my new social media app, Airbnb, so I can kind of see what other people are doing and kind of get an idea of what we need to do for our places. But I think, and 39 pickups so far today. So that is my phone time, my screen time so far this week. Oh, excuse me. Actually, let me see something. I want to see if I go to week. They gonna give me last week? I don't think they'll give me last week on here. Oh well. Oh, they do. 8 hours and 25 minutes is my last week's average, and 8 hours and 49 this week. It's crazy. All right, so I just want to say that start off with some good vibes, because we just went to Philadelphia over the weekend, right? Shout out to my guy Chris, and I was talking to Chris, right? I don't know if I talked about this last week. I might have. I don't remember because I did not listen to the last week's episode today. So we talked about an Airbnb situation, right? He told me that somebody that he knew somebody else that I think knew somebody else that was offering 3 units, a whole building for Airbnb, which is like, you don't really see that, or I haven't really seen that often, right? So, excuse me, every time I drink Fiji water, alkaline water, it makes me gassy. And he was saying, okay, yo, bro, listen, call them up, see what you could do, see if they will give you the lease, and just kind of try to talk to him and see what works, right? So I got on the phone with the guy, and at first I was a little shaky because his name threw me off, and I definitely think that hurt the conversation, and I'm gonna explain why. When I got on the phone with him, I called the listing, right? The listing had the property listed for $1,900. It's 3 units, each two bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and one unit is $1,900, other one's $1,950, and I think the last one is $2,100, something like that, right? So it's about $6,000 for all of the units per month. So I called one of the listings that were online, and the guy answered the phone. Now, I'm used to doing wholesaling, cold calling. I kind of have an idea of what to say, what I'm looking for when I call properties. I have not called anybody about Airbnb before to say, okay, hey, this is exactly what we're looking for. This is how we're going to negotiate it. I don't really do it that way. Normally, we go into the places and we talk to them that way. So I was kind of off guard. So I kind of went into my script of wholesaling, which is like, hey, what can you tell me about the property? And he was like, well, what do you want to know? And I'm like, damn, fuck me up. Because normally when I have that response, I have an answer for it. I can say, okay, I want to know this, I want to know that, I want to know this. But when it comes to this Airbnb thing, I did not really have a clear goal or target when I called. I just kind of wanted to field information to see what he was going to say. But, so because of that, when I answered the phone, like I said, it didn't put me off on the right foot to have that conversation. So I also asked for concessions. Concessions are things like, first month's rent free, second month rent free, whatever. He was like, we don't do concessions. Like, you're not getting concessions. It's 2-year lease. You're only getting 3 units while we do concessions. And I'm just like, damn, bro. I'm like, shit. Mind you, I feel like I'm doing bad, but I kind of recouped it pretty well. I think that I was able to salvage that conversation, and we had scheduled a meeting for that weekend, which is the weekend I just passed. So we scheduled a meeting for 10 a.m. to meet at the property, right? So Melissa and I are going up to the property this weekend either way to see our property, to kind of check on the update on the renovations. And we figured, you know what? We're going to be in Philadelphia. Why not go to look at this property and do a little walkthrough of the Airbnb unit to see if they're even worth picking up. So we get there. We did a what was it called? We did a private room in Airbnb. Now, this is my first time ever doing that, and I would suggest people or recommend to even look into it, because we were there for one night and you can get a nice private room for a good price, because a lot of people want the entire place. You go on Airbnb, check off entire place. We went to this property, right? So the whole time I'm trying to figure out, okay, we doing research. What are we gonna say to him? How are we gonna go about it? You know, we want to look professional. So you know how we do. We went out to the store to get some clothes to return. You know how we listen. If you watch the videos, you know, every time we go do one of these little field trips, got to go to the store, get some clothes, make yourself feel good, and then you go out and you close your deals, right? And then you return afterwards because you want to save money. So, I'm thinking about all the things I could possibly say. I'm trying to get all of my script in line. I'm trying to get everything down packed so I can go in there and kill. I'm trying to get this done, get our first units. We'll be good, right? So, in Philadelphia. So, I'm like, all right. I'm watching videos on how to, on selling and how to close deals, things like that. One of the things that I think helped me a lot before going into it, it was two videos actually that I watched. One in the course that we bought on Airbnb. And then the second one was a video by Tony Robbins. Now, the Tony Robbins video had said, when you are trying to sell something to somebody, right, or you want someone to buy something from you, you want that person to be saying, me too, not so what. So if you're trying to connect with a person, you want them, you're saying, hey, and let's use Airbnb as an example. If I'm saying to the guy, which is what I did, which I think, kind of fucked up. If I'm saying, hey, man, we need concessions because we are going to have to put a lot of money up front. He's like, so what? That's not my problem. I don't care. Right? That's bad. We don't want that. When we were talking to him, though, we were talking to him about design of the place when we got into the building. And he's like, we're to explain it to him. We would do this to the property. We don't think the way that it's set up right now is good for selling. He's agreeing like, yeah, me too. I agree. I don't think the way it's set up right now is good for selling. I think there needs to be a higher budget for the interior design of this place. So now we're connecting, right? So I'll jump for a little bit. But so we got out the car. Melissa and I were trying to parallel park. I will give myself like... I don't want to say I'm good at parallel parking because I'm really not. I'm not bad at it, but I definitely would not say that I'm good. For one, I don't know the what is it called? There's a formula to do it, right? All this will be in the video that we post on one of the upcoming weeks. But I think it was funny because we were both trying to parallel park into this spot for like 15 minutes, and that kind of caused us to not be late, to be on time for the meeting. So I think it was funny. So on the way to the property, the guy was actually behind us because he lives in the area. So we met up with him. He's from Israel. He's a cool dude. We're walking, talking about the property. Now, the other thing I learned was that the order that you want to talk to somebody is you want to build rapport first, right? If you know me, I prefer to kind of get to the business first and then rapport later because I want to get that kind of conversation out the way. Possibly because it maybe is uncomfortable and I want to get it done early. That could be it. But for me, I like to go business first. But I try something new, different approach. I try going, okay, let's build rapport first and then we build interest. No, we build respect, he said. And then you build interest. Those are the three things. So that's what we're doing. We're like, all right, we're going to talk about, just build rapport, talk to him, see what he likes, see what he likes to do, what he's into. And then by building interest, we will be talking about picking up multiple units. We want to do this, go over here and buy more properties over there. Interest. And that's kind of interest. But the respect thing would be how we talk about the property and what we're going to do to the property. Melissa had her camera, the DSLR, so we look a lot more professional. We both come in there looking smooth and suave. We're like, all right, cool. We get the respect. So we got the liking, we got the rapport, we got the respect, and we got the interest in that conversation. Now, everything seemed great. everything seemed to be going very, very well. We got to the top floor, went through all 3 units. They were saying things I've never heard people say before. They were saying that they could add a patio in the back for us on the top floor. They could redo the backyard. They were saying that they could. It was so many things they were adding. They were talking about additions to the house, and I'm just like, we're technically renters, so you want to add a patio? Now, mind you, I'm fine because that would then increase the value of the Airbnb if we have a patio in the back. I just never heard nobody offer that. Like, imagine you go rent to a place and they ask you like, hey, you want us to add like an addition to the rental? And it's like, sure, if you want to add a balcony to my rental property that I'm renting out, sure, I don't care, go ahead. So we were saying that, and during this conversation, right, something, I don't know what it is, there's something, Melissa and I are missing a key component, right? And I believe the component is money. We need more money, right? Because during this conversation, it seems to us that we talk to a lot of people and they all seem to like us. They seem to be very happy with the conversation. They seem to respect us. In this conversation, this guy was telling us that they are developing a new property, multiple properties all across Philadelphia, right? He said that in addition to these 3 units, they would give us a whole floor in another new development that has not come up yet. They're still building it. And we're like, it's 25 units, so it will be 7 on that floor, so it would be 10 in total. Now we're like, damn, we're gonna have 10 units. So I was just like, yeah, kind of put a hold on a 10 because I wasn't really sure about the 10, because I'm like, yeah, bro, 10 is I ain't say this because I want to let us know that we could do it, but I'm like, we're gonna have to check the market first to make sure this market can support us having 10. See how cute that sound? We want to make sure that this market can support us picking up multiple units. We don't want to be over leveraged on a property that we don't understand this market too well. Now, I didn't say the understand part because that makes us look like we don't know what he's talking about. But up until that, like I said, we were like, everything was going great, and that just kind of put us over the edge. Like, damn, this is amazing. So we're thinking, yo, we pretty much got this done in a deal. We're leaving. We're talking about going to Israel with him. Like, yo, bro, we go to Israel with you. He's talking about Tel Aviv, how I was hot and fired. I'm like, yo, bro, I want to go to Tel Aviv. I got to pull up. I've never been to Israel, so I want to go. And, like I said, report everything. We're cool. Everything seems mad cool, and we're going. So, we leave there, go to our property, look it over. We walk around Philadelphia, drive around, go to some Home Depot and whatnot, right? And he had told me that he's going to send the lease that same day. And I'm like, bro, you going to send a lease today? I'm like, which is the first you ever got? So I'm like, I bet he's going to send us this lease. And within this lease, it would be a master lease. So it would have all the units underneath one lease instead of signing three different leases, right? I'm like, all right, cool. So, 4 o'clock come by, I don't hear nothing. 5 o'clock come by, I don't hear nothing. 6 o'clock come by, nothing. 11 p.m., nothing. I'm like, bruh, what? I'm like, what happened? I'm thinking we were supposed to get the lease by 4 or 5 o'clock. Nothing happened by 11, right? So I'm like, all right, well, take it with a grain of salt. It's a learning lesson. We get our hits in and we just keep moving. So the following day, I think did I get a phone call the following day? Bro, we got a phone call the following day. That's what it was. And I just woke up. Like, I just was getting out the bed. So I was in the bed still on Instagram, but I wasn't really up yet. So I'm saying this because your mind's not all the way there when you wake up in the morning. Like, you still got to get everything in order, right? So he called, and I'm like, all right, shit. I answered the phone, which I learned from wholesaling. You usually don't want to answer the phone if you're not already, like, in front of your computer. Like, if you're not situated, you're going to usually say something. Well, I normally say something that's dumb. So I try and tend to wait and call them back later or have my computer in front of me. I did not do any of those things. So he calls. He's like, hey, man, like I said, we're cool. He's like, I think we're cool at this point. And he goes, yeah, man, do you want to negotiate the rent amount? I'm like, what? I'm like, what you mean I want to negotiate the rent amount? He's like, yeah, man, how much you want to go? Like, I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking I could do 2,000. So I'm like, he's offering us a lower price. He's asking us if we want a lower price on this property. So we go, okay. I'm like, $1,700. He's like, I can't do $1,700. He was like, the place we at right now, or the people that are in there right now, are paying $1,850 a month. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, give us the same thing they got. Give us that. He's like, I can do that. So we good. We thinking that we good. We thinking that we fucking good. He calls us back to give us a lower price. Who does that? So we're like, are we good? So then, right, I get off the phone and I'm like, shit. Melissa looking at me like, you didn't ask for concessions. I'm like, fuck. I did ask for concessions because we don't want to come out of pocket. Here's why we want concessions, right? To furnish an apartment, it's going to be about $5,000 to $7,000, somewhere in that range, depending on how you want. But that's high end. I guess this is a high end interior decorating job, right? But let's settle at, let's go with $5,000. So it's 3 units. That's $15,000 for 3 units. Right now, they may also want a deposit. A deposit is going to be usually is 1 month's rent. That's a deposit. And from my understanding, because there's 3 units, it would be a $6,000 deposit. So right now we're at $21,000. Right? Boom, $21,000. Now we also have to pay first month's rent, which is another $6,000. So right now we're at $27,000 on day 1 just to get the property up. So if we get concessions, then we can take out about $12,000 from that, and we can afford to do $15K, borrow some money from here, borrow some money from there. But 27 is a lot to come out of pocket. We don't really have that. So I'm like, shit. I call him back because my anxiety was like, it was kind of flaring. I'm like, damn. You know what you gotta do? You gotta call him back. You gotta get concessions. You gotta get concessions. You said you was not gonna do this deal if you don't get concessions. Call him back and get concessions, right? I think this was my first fuck up. I think that was my first one. So I call him back, and during the conversation, I'm like, yo, you know what? We can do $2,000 a month, right? We don't have no problem doing $2,000 a month. However, we're gonna need the first 2 months free, right? I feel like I think he said okay. I think he was like on board with it. Remind you, during our first phone call, he was like, there's no concession. It's not happening. Like, you're not getting that. So he seemed to be okay with it this time. I'm like, all right. Something went wrong in this conversation, right? And I think what happened was I was selling too hard. I was trying to prove why the concessions were a good idea, as opposed to shutting up and listening to him talk, because I think he was already cool with it. But once I started talking, I was trying to sell over him while he was talking to me, because I didn't want him to feel like it was a bad idea. Like, oh, why do you guys want concessions? But I think I made it worse by actually trying to overtalk him. So he was then ended with, we don't even know you guys. We don't have to, we don't really have any trust. We just met y'all. I'm like, damn, that's not a good sign. Like, if you're talking to a girl, she say that to you, that's not normally the best sign to hear. So you're like, all right, that's not true. When the girl is not that different. But I feel like the vibe I got from him, I don't know. It goes either way. I think, but the vibe I got from him for sure, it was like a pullback, like, yo, we don't even know y'all like that. All right, yeah, okay. So he told me that he's gonna go and talk to the property owner to find out if he'll do concessions. He said that he was going to present both leases, where it's $1,850 a month for 3 units, and then $2,000 a month for 3 units, but with 2 months concessions. So he's like, all right, I'll get back to you and let you know what he says. I'm like, all right, bet. So now I'm like, fuck. I'm like, damn, if we just had money to pay for it, we would have been great. We would have been paid it off. Everything would have been good. We would have already had the 3 units. We would have already had them down, locked, making money, going on our way, right? So the next day, I get a text, and the guy says that the owner is feeling a little weary, and they want us to fill out an application now. Okay, so gotta fill out an application like a regular person, as opposed to going, backdoor getting a hookup. So fill out the application. I'm still thinking, I still believe he is putting in the word for us, because just through to what we talked about with the application, I sent it through. with my business name and business EIN as my SSN, and he was like, this is not gonna work because I can't run your credit. And I'm like, fuck, because I know my credit right now is not the best. It's like a 630, I think, and that isn't really popping. And he also wants income verification, which is like it's gonna be kind of difficult to get that too. So we don't really got that to show. So we're like, all right, fuck. So then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna send him a screenshot of our bank account because the Bamboo Project has a lot of money coming in and out because we're doing this job for the property that we bought. So like, okay, that should work. He's like, yeah, man. I got your SSN. I put the number in. I sent him the new one with my actual social security number, and he goes, yeah, this one is this application not looking so good for you guys. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yo, how close we gotta get to getting one of these things and just going. Like, we doing mad research to figure this out. So this is why I think he's putting the word for us, because he didn't respond. He's like, listen, do you have another proof of income? That's all. Like, if you had another proof of income, you could do it. Just send that through. So I'm like, all right, bet. Now, here's where I think I made my final mistake. We're still waiting for an update, but I think this was a mistake at this point, looking back on it, only because we haven't gotten a response. But I pretty much, we own a property in Harlem, right, with my family. So that property is what I'm going to use as my income for this. So I texted him, like, yo, I own a property. No, I said I have a company that owns property in New York. Hold on, I'm about to kill a fly. Damn, it went away. I'm like, will that income let me know that income will work for you? Haven't gotten a response. I sent that text at like 1 o'clock. It's 6:11. 6:11. So that's 5 hours. 5 hours. Actually, at 12 o'clock, I sent that text. So it's 6 hours. So I haven't gotten a response 6 hours. All he had to do was say yes. That'll work. I didn't get a response yet. So maybe he lost his phone. I'm going to hope that he lost his phone. That's all I'm hoping. Because at this point, I'm like, did we just lose 3 units? We was this close. We was so close to getting 3 units. And I'm like, that would have been a great start, or like going into the end of the year. What? Pick up 3 units at one time in Philadelphia, and then they went offer us another 7. That'd have been 10 units guaranteed by the end of next year. 10. Think about that. You're making $2,000 a month off each unit. That's $20,000. I think it's more than that. 10 units times 2, times 2,000. 2,000 times 10. That's 200,000, right? 2,000 times 10. It's 20,000. Okay. Yeah. You're making $20,000 a month from those units. So, and that's if we're only making $2,000 profit per month. That's not including us actually the gross amount, which might be at that point probably something like maybe double it probably. So like $50,000 a month. That's what we'd be doing with those amount of units. And I'm just like, we're so close. But there is a silver lining. There's a silver lining, right? Y'all know that we are trying to get more funding. We're trying to get more capital. We have a lot of plans and business we're trying to make. And by God's grace, like I said, I'm God's favorite. Melissa got a email on the way back from Philadelphia. No, back or on the way there. We were going to Jersey, right? Melissa got an email that we got approved for $20,000. $20,000. So that's an additional $20,000. So now I'm going to tell you why this is amazing for us, right? Because we have a lot of the information that we need to really propel us forward. I'm talking about really, this gnat's going to blow me. I didn't fucking get it. Fuck. $20,000, right? So here's how we are going to do or finesse this $20,000. And I actually had a podcast. I don't know which one it was. I can't remember which episode it was. And I had said, Like, what would you do if you got $20,000? And then I asked, this is one of Donovan's questions. And then I asked, what would you do if you had $50,000? And then I asked, what would you do if you had $100,000? And the reason I asked this is because I thought it was interesting that people would do different things with each amount of money to propel themselves forward. Oh, in my opinion, I guess, if I'm trying to invest and make more money, I just think that people spend their money differently depending on how much money they have, as opposed to saying, okay, I'll take, instead of putting 10,000 into GameStop, I'll put 85,000. I feel like the more money people have, the more diversified they are, which is funny because I think the big investors don't do it that way. They do it the other way. It's like, okay, I have more money, put it all into what I know is going to work, as opposed to trying to diversify my portfolio and doing some Airbnb, some Turo, and then doing some wholesaling. They're trying to do just buy GameStop. That's how they feel. And the billionaires, right? So how we plan on finessing this $20,000 is this. Right now, my credit is like a 630. What I learned earlier in this year is that once I pay off my credit, like my entire balance, my credit goes up about 90 points, like crazy. It just shoots all the way up because the only problem I have on my account is that my balances are too high. That's literally, I don't have no derogatory marks. My inquiries are more or less pretty low. I think I only have 3 over the last 2 years, which isn't that bad. The age of my credit is 12 years right now because I have my mom put me as authorized user. So that brought my age up to a higher age. So for the most part, my credit, other than my balances being what they are, is amazing. So that's one thing we're going to do. Try and pay off my credit. And then we'll apply for more credit cards or more loans to be able to then keep us, to be able to then reinvest into what we're doing. The other reason we have $20,000, or the other reason the other thing we'll do with the $20,000, is y'all know we have this property that we are currently $40K over budget for right now, right? $40K. So this $20K, make sure we're on the same page with this. We're gonna put that towards the renovation, like on the back end.
Sure.
Okay, so we might do that because, anyways, I'm gonna get to that. The $20,000 will let us float money to our contractor because when you're doing a construction job like we're doing, or a flip or whatever you want to call it, the lender does not give us the money until work is done. The contractor does not do work until he's given money. So you can see how we're in the middle with the problem. So we have money now that we can give to him to get work done that they can now give to us, and we can now keep that circle and that cycle going. So we are ecstatic about finally getting approved for $20,000. And I got the American Express card, which is $10,000. So we're at $30,000. So we have $30K, and we needed 40. We have 30 right now. That's
more than 30.
Yeah. What else we got?
That's just the business. You only count personal.
Oh, so bruh. And right, if you want to count the personal, we up over 40. Right now, we over 40K with all of our credit combined. So we have somehow finessed a way to get into being able to afford going 40K over budget. Listen, won't he do it? All right. So now that we finessed our way into getting this money to be able to afford the renovation, like I said, we're gonna get my credit up. Once my credit is up, apply for more loans so that we can then use that money to then possibly do Airbnb and move to Atlanta. And I mean, those things are not mutually exclusive. So we would move to Atlanta and do Airbnb. And what else was doing with that money? It was something else. What else were we doing? It was one other thing we were going to do. Do you remember what it was? Anything else? We're going to pay the credit off. Put it towards renovation. Put it towards... capitalizing the business. That's another thing I forgot. Capitalizing the business is a problem we're running into right now because people want to see how much money you have coming into your account, right? So you can kind of finesse that by depositing money to your account every month, and it will show up on your statement that you've made, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 if you're recycling your money in the account. So that shows up well when you're going to do rentals, Airbnbs, or applying for just getting stuff like that. It helps a lot. So now that we have this $20K, we can recycle that, and we could be looking or appear to be making $100K a month or $85K a month, something in that ballpark. And it's gonna be really hard for me, in my opinion, for somebody to tell us, oh, you can't rent here, you can't afford to rent here. Like, what you mean? I make $85K a month. You gonna tell me I can't afford to pay $6,000 a month for this little measly unit? Look, come on, don't play yourself. So that we making moves right now. We got some big moves. Yeah, I know I've been trying to keep up on this GameStop thing. We've been talking about it. And my friend Matt, shout out to Matt, he had showed me that there are going to be 4 banks that do really bad or go under. That's what he pretty much showed me, right? And 2 of those banks, one is Chase, one is Wells Fargo. I do not remember the other ones, but so far, we've seen some funny business with Chase, and Wells Fargo did some shit I didn't even know was possible. I did not even know this was a thing that people do. So Wells Fargo decided that out of the blue, they were going to just shut off people's credit that they had given to them, right? Just be like, well, we know we gave it to you, but we're taking it back. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands. Well, I'm thinking hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people. A lot of people. I don't know the exact number, but a lot of people. Now, could you imagine you have a credit card that you swiping every day? You have a loan out that you use. Maybe you're in a pickle. You got to get out of, want to get an Airbnb or something like that. And you come and check your account and they tell you that, nope, you no longer have this credit. We took it because who knows? Now, that seems crazy to me. We also know about this Chase thing with this $50 billion situation. We know how that went. So now the other 2 banks that he had told me about were, let me make sure I get these right, because I won't be surprised if some weird shit happened with these 2 banks too. Shout out to my guy. Okay, here we go. The 4 banks that he told me are involved in this GameStop thing would be Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, US Bank, and Bank of America. He warned about 2 of these banks. He said JP Morgan, Chase, and Wells Fargo. He said, get out of those banks. He said, if you use any of these, I suggest you change that sooner than later. Right? This was is there a date on this? This is May 18th. He said this, right? And then what happens about 2 weeks ago? Chase, $50 billion scandal, right? Then I just see Wells Fargo talking about we closing all our credits to people. And they even said that the audacity, they said, this may affect your credits and we're sorry. And it's like, what? Because think about it. If your credit score goes down because your limit goes down. You don't have as much money to spend. Also, this is for you funny. Also, your age may go down because if this was one of your oldest cards and they closed it, that means that, let's say you only got 2 cards, one from 20 years ago and one from last year. Your age limit on your credit is 1 year. That's what it looks like. You just got credit for the first time. Nobody want to give you money. You had credit for 1 year. Nobody care about giving you money. Then this was funny. This is the funny part to me. They said, yes, we're closing your credits, right? Your credit cards and loans, whatever. However, we want our money back though. Any money that you owe us, we still need that back. Like we're not closing it so you can't pay us back. We just close it so you can't spend no more. But we still gonna need that money back that we gave you. And I'm like, that's insane. Like, with that's robbery. So I'm gonna look into this US Bank thing. You know what? I'm gonna Google it right now. I'm gonna see US Bank and Bank of America. I want to see if anything going on with them two right now. We find out that US Bank done did some wild shit in the last month. I don't see anything right now, like in terms of just pulling up real quick, and then I'm gonna check with this quick Google search on if I see anything about Bank of America. I guess tensions boil over at Bank of America after branch closures lead to long waits. So that's it. I don't really see nothing as far as that goes. But I'm gonna keep myself updated on this because it would be crazy if some US bank shit and some Bank of America shit happen in the next 2 weeks. Because as far as my man Matt, shout out to Matt, he was saying that I think it's July 24th. Because that crypto thing actually happened. They actually released the fact that they are going to give out a crypto coin at GameStop. So that's going to be interesting. That's exactly what he told me was going to happen. And it's happening. So I'm just curious. We're going to keep my eyes on it. See if I get rich in the next, 3-4 months. But for life update, the other thing I wanted to get to is that I am now getting to a point in my life where I am. Y'all probably not gonna believe me when I say this. I know you're not, but I'm getting fat. Right now, I have in my life, I had times where I might have a gut. You know, I feel like times where I might be skinny, but now I feel like I'm getting fat. Now you're probably looking at me like, Donivan, no, you're so handsome. No way. I know. Let me explain. I know my body looks amazing, right? It looks like I was sculpted like Squidward was in SpongeBob. However, underneath this shirt is a lot of not sculptedness under here, right? So normally, like I said, I've gained weight before. Never been nothing crazy. But recently, I've been noticing that whenever I've been to the side or been forward or sit down, anywhere on a train, in a chair, on a bed, I could feel my gut like rolling over itself. And I'm like, what is this feeling? I'm like, why is it uncomfortable to sit? I'm like, I don't like this. So then I'm like, all right, I got it. Let me try and like, move over to the side. Nope. Cause I got the fat rolls on the side. So if I move to the side too much, don't they roll up on that side? And it just feel like they're squeezing against each other. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. And I'm like, I can't even sit. Mind you, if you look, I'm like, look at this. If you look at me right now, I got to slouch back. Because if I sit up straight, my stomach gonna roll on top of itself, and I'm gonna be feeling crazy. Honestly, I'll be feeling like I'm bloated all the time, but I don't know if I really am. I just know this is getting ridiculous because I have let myself go. There is less than 2% of activity I'm getting every single week. Less than 2%. I'm talking about actual physical activity. You know what I do for physical activity? I walk to the cabinet, I get cookies, and I sit down. That's what I do for physical activity. That's it. I don't do nothing else. I don't be playing basketball. I don't ride my bike. I don't go to the gym. I'm just sitting here turning into a Teletubby. And it's atrocious. I am disappointed in myself, and this needs to stop. I'm not saying it's gonna stop right now, but it absolutely needs to stop because this is getting to bruh. This is crazy to me, right? Because last year, when the whole pandemic was happening, I was outside. Everybody was like, "Oh, I haven't even weighed myself. I'm gonna go weigh myself right now." People were saying I put on the pandemic 15 or whatever. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? I'm outside every day. Ain't nobody put on 15 pounds or nothing, right? But the pandemic for me is this year. I be in the house all the time. I'm like, this is what y'all was doing last year? Why did y'all tell me? I apologize for anybody I offended last year in my podcast by saying that it ain't that serious. It's rough. This is rough. Just and then we definitely don't eat a lot of fast food. If any, we might have Chick-fil-A, right? But we don't eat a lot of fast food. I couldn't even imagine what my body would look like if I was only eating the worst kinds of food. Like, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't, bro. I'm gonna see my weight right now. I'm gonna see how much I weigh. All right, I weigh myself today, right? Just weigh myself. Has been a while since I ever weighed myself. It's been actually kind of crazy. I haven't weighed myself in a minute. But the biggest in my life, and I'm talking about when I was hitting the gym, heavyweight, I was benching like 225. I was doing dips with like 90 pounds on me. Going to the gym, playing ball. I was out here I was looking brolic. You know what? I put up a picture to show you how brolic I was. Look at that. Boom. Look at him right here. Brolic, right? At my strongest, at my biggest, going to the gym healthy, I was 190. Easy 190, right? Right now, haven't been to the gym in probably 2 years, I'm 190. Now, I don't know. It's not muscle, because you know why? Here's why this is crazy. Last year, I had got down to 150, like 155, and that's when I was doing electric diet. Was it last year? The year before last, maybe it was last year. Within the last 2 years, I was at like 155, and I haven't gone to the weight room, so none of this is muscle. So that means I probably gained about 30 to 40 pounds of straight fat, of just fat. Listen, my goal in my life as a child was to be 190 pounds. I saw Derrick Rose was 6190. I said, you know what? I want to be 6190. I'm 5'11 and 3/4, not 190, not 6'3", but I'm definitely 190 pounds right now, which I think is ridiculous for somebody that does not work out. And with my frame, listen, bruh, 190. Like I said, that was me at my biggest, like me at my like peak. Donivan was 190. There's no way or reason I should be the same weight doing zero work. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. That's what all these rolls are. Sitting on my side. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I don't even listen. I be in the house, right? Even my breathing be sounding crazy. I mean, just and all I can imagine is I have all this fat on my chest. I got titties, bro. This is ridiculous. Let me see my arm. Look at this. It's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, here's what I'm banking on right now. Let me tell you what I'm banking on. I've been banking on this. All right, I'm gonna tell y'all guys. I've been banking on the fact that we're gonna move to Atlanta to a place that has a gym in the building, and I'm gonna start looking amazing. That's what I'm banking on. It's just that it's taking a little bit longer than I planned for us to get there. So I was hoping we was gonna be there by like March. And I would have been already brolic by then. But now, here we are in July. And I have not got to Atlanta. So, and our building is $1,000 a year for the weight room, which is a trash ass weight room. Now, I could go to Blink and pay $10. I could do that. But I don't want to go to Blink. And I have no good reason. I just don't want to have to go to Blink. I got to walk over there. I don't want to walk over there. And honestly, the reason before was I didn't want to wear a mask, but I don't think people have to wear that now. But I don't know. Would I go to Blink now? I don't know. I might. Because the first thing came to my head was probably an excuse. But I would, if I had my bike fixed, I would want to go to Blink more often. But what's stopping me from going to Blink and just kind of walking over there? It's a nice little walk, maybe like a 15-minute walk, maybe 20-minute walk, and just go work out, do something. I don't know. I'm gonna consider that. I'm not making no promises, but I'm gonna definitely think about it. Cause I'm like, if I'm not even playing basketball right now, I'm not even playing ball once a week no more. I'm just sitting in the house. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I will do something. And house workouts, I can't do house workout. I need to have an amazing house to do a house workout. So, but that's pretty much it for life update. I'm gonna try and get in shape and get back to my sexy body. I'm bigger though, so I think if I didn't have a gut and I didn't have what is that hip thing called? You know what it's called when your butt go out to the back? I'll explain why Melissa is mad in a second. But what's when your hip go back like that? When it go back like this, what is it called? You say it all the time when it be happening. What's it called? Hip rotation? What is it called? What is it called? Melissa doesn't want to tell me what it's called. But anyways, I got weak either glutes or probably abs. I think my abs are weak. So because my abs are weak, my butt tilt backwards and I look crazy. So listen, all I know is I'm out of shape. That's all that matters. But we are gonna go to episode Playback. So if you guys are unaware, over the last let me see what is this? Let me go to the BetterHelp situation. Y'all know about BetterHelp. It's an app. I'm not sponsored by them. I would love to be sponsored by them. So that would be great. If people start buying it, maybe they'll call me and sponsor me, whatever. But I think it's an amazing app for sure. I had called my therapist today. Amazing guy, great individual. Now it's 4 calls a month, not 4 calls a week. That's what it was. But you can text them throughout the week as much as you want. And you have a little journal on the app. You can write it. It's cool. It's cool. And the guy I talked to today, bruh, amazing. So here is something that I wanted to bring up on the podcast, because I think it was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I said that I understand why guys cheat, right? I said this. Now, the thing about the cheating situation, right? The reason I understand it is because I feel like I've been very stressed. And one thing that I learned from listening to last week's podcast last week is that I believe in that episode from last week, I was not being fully transparent. And because of that, I think it takes away from the content, because now I'm trying to skirt around things. I'm trying not to say exactly what it is. And I think that when I speak exactly what I'm thinking, I say exactly how I feel, then people can relate to it because they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. I feel that, right? So I feel as though last week I wasn't as transparent as I could be. So I want to try and be more transparent. You can tell by how fluid what I'm saying is, by how transparent I'm being. Okay. So I had talked about cheating, right? We talked about cheating 2 weeks ago. And Melissa asked me, do I feel like cheating? Do I want to cheat, right? And I'm like, do I want to cheat? No. I said I understand why guys want to cheat, right? And I do understand. I have been feeling a lot of stress lately. A lot of stress in my relationship with Melissa. I felt stressed. I don't know if she felt like that. Honestly, here's the thing. I'm going to say what I say. Actually, I'm going to ask you first and I'm going to tell you what I think. Have you felt stressed, Melissa, in our relationship? Have you, like, not like stress in general, but like, have you specifically felt stressed?
In general?
No, not in general. Just you specifically.
I wouldn't call it stress.
Okay. So the reason I asked Melissa is because I think I think she has felt stressed. She said she has not. The reason I think that she has felt stressed is because I believe that she has felt like I don't want to be with her. I feel like she has felt like, like I don't want to be with her. And to me, I think that can be a stressful thought to have. She had told me today she feels as though we're not in a relationship. I think, is that accurate? She doesn't want me to talk to her about it. Okay, fine. So I will just talk, and if she feels like what I'm saying is wrong, she'll probably correct me. So that's what she has felt like. Now, to me, that seems to be a stressful situation. And I talked to my therapist about this today. And I'm going to come back to what he told me. But I'll just, going through what happened today. And the reason why I understand why guys want to cheat is because you get to a point where you don't really have anywhere else to go. You're like, okay, I can't talk to my girlfriend about this. You don't want to talk to your family about it. And you don't want to talk to your male friends about it, right? You may talk to your male friends, but in my case, I don't really have that many male friends that I talk to about this. And then it kind of comes off as complaining, in my opinion, to male friends. So that's why you don't talk about it as much. You might, depending on how close you are, but for the most part, you kind of just keep a lot of it to yourself, because after some point, even your friends will go, bro, you told me that you were stressed about this thing for 6 months now. You gonna leave or not? You gonna call me every day and tell me you're stressed and not leave? What are you doing? So even with them, I think there's a limit, right? So the reason I feel like you don't want to tell your family is because they may like the person or they may not like the person. They might go, oh, I want you to be with her. Don't just keep going. Don't worry about it. Or they may not like her and be like, I told you, that's why you shouldn't be even doing that with that person, right? So this brings it around to cheating. So I feel like, in my opinion, I think that guys have these conversations about their relationship with women, right? And I feel as though, two things. I feel as though they have this conversation with women, and I think when they do that, they're doing it for that emotional release, because they have it all pent up inside of them and they have nowhere to put it. They have nowhere to give it to. It's just emotion that's sitting and building inside of them, right? Now, they get to a girl, you talk to a girl on the street, wherever they meet her at. Now, this girl likes the guy in this situation. So she doesn't know the girlfriend. She doesn't know anything about that. She's just a girl that likes him. So she may listen to his stories about how terrible the girl is and how he doesn't like her and all the things that he doesn't like. She'll hear it, right? Now, when that happens, you have an emotional release to this person. You have an attachment to this person. And the fact that they are the opposite sex, that may lead to you actually having sex, because now you guys are connected. You are connected to another woman who is listening to you talk. She's around you. She's supporting you, because she's not the main person. She can be there once a week, once every other week, to hear what your stories are. And she can support you, rub your head, give you head, anything, those type of things make you feel better. She can do all of those things. So I think that's a lot of times why guys can go out to cheat. I also think, there's other reasons, obviously, but I think that it kind of comes from that. Now, the reason why, when I was asked a question by Melissa, I said, I'm not going to cheat, because to me, it's still a decision that's being made. I know that if I'm going to cheat, it's better for me to just break up with Melissa. It doesn't make any sense to cheat to do that. It's that I think that comes from insecurity, that without having the strength to leave, you decide to stay, but then cheat. It's just silly, in my opinion, right? So I'm like, okay, this is the thoughts I was having to myself, and I'm going, okay, how do I solve this? Because I'm having problems, because my biggest problem in our relationship is, honestly, it's only really one, and it is the self-control of anxiety that I feel like Melissa can be better at. That's my only problem, right? And I think that it comes up in different ways. An example would be when we're driving, right? One way it comes up is if I miss a turn, she's upset that I miss a turn. Now, to me, it isn't a big issue because we're not going anywhere important. We're just kind of driving around. We're not in a rush to get anywhere. However, if I miss a turn, she will then make a comment about my driving skills. She will then get annoyed about being in the car and why don't I always miss in turns? What's the problem, right? So now I'm like, to me, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I don't feel like this is not a big thing. We're not in a rush. What's going on, right? So little things like that pile up. They begin to stress me out. So that's just one example. So I'm like, okay, I need to figure out a way to deal with this, because I need to know, am I compatible with Melissa? Should we be still talking? Should we still, trying to make it, like, is this something that can be fixed? I don't know. So, but I always figure the best course of action is to look at myself first. What am I doing? How can I be better in a situation? Am I causing her responses in these instances, right? So I'm always thinking, like, I don't know what it is. I've asked her, hey, am I doing anything wrong? What can I do better? I feel like I try to do the things that she tells me I can do better. When I ask her a lot of things, there usually aren't a lot of things on the list to do. So I'm like, okay, I'm not really doing much that's causing her discomfort. So what else can I be doing? Right? So maybe it's not me. So I get on the phone with the guy today, and he made a lot of great points. Before I get to what he said, another problem that I think that Melissa and I have is the miscommunication or us not being in sync on affection. That's something that I learned actually today, and it's weird because I feel like when Melissa wants affection, that's when I'm like, I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be touched, right? And I didn't know what it was. I just felt like I don't want to be touched. I'm like, I don't want to be touched. So you can see how that can be a problem when you're dating somebody. If you're talking to your girlfriend and you try to hug her and she's like, why are you hugging me? That could cause a problem. So I understand that. However, I'm trying to figure out, okay, why am I feeling like this? Is it something that you're doing that's causing me to feel like this? Is it something that I'm doing? Is it something that how I was raised, that I didn't get enough hugs and now I don't like hugs, or I got too many hugs and now I push hugs away? What is going on that's causing this? So I talked to a therapist, right? Now, there are some things that I don't like that Melissa does. That stems from the anxiety. They are rubbing her hands together like she's Birdman, right? Like this, right? All the time she be trying to get a bag, right? And then it'd be picking and what's the other one? Oh, biting her nails, right? And I was explaining this to the therapist, and as I'm saying the things to him, this is how I knew that it had to be very apparent, because mid-sentence, he was like, that's anxiety right there. He's like, you have anxiety about her anxiety. I was like, what? He was like, the thing that you just mentioned, the way you're describing, that's you have anxiety. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Willis? I'm like, what do you mean I got anxiety? He's like, yeah, that's anxiety. So I'm like, it makes sense, because when I think about those things, I get uncomfortable. I get very uncomfortable. Like, I feel like if you're watching the video, you can see my shoulders. I get like I get smaller. I'm like, I get really tight, right? When I see those things. So he said because of that, it puts us in a cycle, which I might have talked about on last week's episode, the week before that, where I may see her do one of those things that I just mentioned I don't like, right? And she may not know that's what I saw, and now I will be uncomfortable. So then I may either respond to her uncomfortably, Or when she may try to hug me, I may not want to hug because or kiss or any type of physical affection because I'm like, I still feel uncomfortable about what you were just doing. And he was saying that that will then cause Melissa to be more anxious, and it will then cause her to do more things that then repeat the cycle over and over again. So we're stuck in this cycle of anxiety right now. I didn't know that. I knew I had anxiety because everybody does. I know that it exists. I didn't know how it manifests itself. So for me, what I've learned is for my anxiety, when I get anxiety, I do two things. One is I don't move at all. I get very just sit down, Donovan. Just relax. Just don't do nothing. Just sit down. Just don't do nothing. Just all right. Here we go. Figure it out. That's how I get with anxiety. Right. That's number one. Number two, what I like to do is I go in the complete opposite direction of anxiety. So, an example of that would be this. If you guys have been here before, a little backstory, some context to this. There was a time where I wanted to put the drain from the tub in the dishwasher, right? And Melissa was like, "No, don't do that. Don't do that." And I'm like, "But why?" And she started kind of panicking and having an anxiety attack. So my response to that is, okay, now I have to put this in a dishwasher because I don't want the thing that's causing me anxiety to rule my life. So the thing that's causing me anxiety in that situation, which would be Melissa, if it's saying to me, don't put this in the dishwasher, my brain goes to, you have to push through anxiety, Donovan. You have to do this thing. That's how my brain works because I kind of train myself that if I feel anxious to just beat the thing, just go at it, go straight directly at it, and you'll realize that it's not that big of an issue. That's how I train myself. So you can see how that could be an issue because now my anxiety is a complete opposite of Melissa's anxiety. So she's telling me don't do this thing. My anxiety is saying you have to do it. You got to do it. You can't not do it. So now in that moment, she's on high alert. I'm also on high alert, and we're clashing because it's like, okay, I don't want to not do the thing because I feel like, damn, I'm letting anxiety beat me. I don't want to do that. Melissa is not going to back down from it because she's like, this is a terrible idea, and this is stupid. Why are you doing this? You should not do this. It's going to be dirty. We're going to get sick. Don't do this. Oh my God, stop. Right? That's how she's thinking. So things like that, this is an example. Things like that happen all the time, pretty often, I think. Especially when they are things that anxiety is all the way up there. So I was talking to the therapist and I said, okay, my main reason for calling you is because I want to know, what can I do? What are you seeing with me that I am doing wrong? Because I want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that I am not contributing to this issue. And what can I do to make it better? I want to know what I can do. So during the conversation, he didn't really answer my question. He kept talking about it. And he said something that he did to me on the phone, which he said that is not good to do, which I know for a fact that I do all the time. He said that what he will do is he'll ask somebody a question, right? And then he'll ask them, what do you think about that? Right now, on the surface, it doesn't seem like it's that big of an issue. It seems like it's pretty much normal. Like, okay, yeah, what do you think about that? Is that like a good idea? But however, I can see how that can cause an issue. He explained to me that when I do that, what I'm doing is I want an answer faster. So I am trying to get an answer faster from you because I feel uncomfortable. So I'm now trying to force you to answer quicker. Here's what that's a problem. We have talked about on the podcast before that I feel like Melissa and I are not in sync. And an example of that would be Airbnb. We had talked about the numbers for Airbnb. We had talked about where we're going to get the Airbnb, how much money we're going to make, how much it's going to cost, what we're going to put inside the house, things like that, right? And I thought that we were on the same page about it. I thought we were like, okay, we're going to do this. We had the pros and cons. We weighed them. This is a good idea. That's what I thought. When we got to Philadelphia, I got the vibe that Melissa was not on that same energy. I felt as though Melissa was like, I don't really want to do this. This is not really a good idea. We shouldn't do this. This is the energy that I'm getting. So now I'm confused because I'm thinking we've already talked about this before. So why is it that you have a different outlook? Like I don't understand what's happening. We had the pros and cons. We went over it. We talked about the numbers over and over again. And I asked you, what else do you think is wrong? I asked this question. So it can't be anything else wrong. That's what I was thinking, right? This is what he told me that I should start doing, because that can cause somebody to give me an answer that they're not ready to give me, or an answer that they think I want to hear. He said what I should do is I should tell Melissa that, which I'm definitely gonna start doing, is whenever you're ready to answer that question, let me know. Like whenever you want to write it down, whatever you want to do with that, when you're ready to answer it, I'll be here for you to answer that question. And just let her have her time to answer it, because then when she gives me a response, her response will come from a place of calmness. It won't come from a place of anxiety. Because what happens a lot is I'll ask, what are you thinking? And she might give me an answer, and I'll be like, the fuck? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, right? And that will then, now I'm getting like amped up. I'm like, what the, like, because now, like I said, her anxiety causes what sometimes cause my anxiety to act a certain way, but I caused her anxiety in that moment. So it's a cycle that I started. So when she responds to me with, yeah, okay, let's do it. I'm like, but did you think about it at all? Yeah, it's a good idea. I'm like, but that was like, you sure? Like, all right, cool. You sure? Right? So then,
That's not how that goes.
What's not how it goes?
You don't be like, are you sure? No. You just tell me what you think and then be like, well, it's gonna work.
I just tell you, I think it's gonna work.
You think you don't do that?
Yes, I think we be having conversations about it. I think I'll ask you like, hey, what do you
until you get the answer that it's gonna work.
That's not true.
Yes, unless I come up with concrete evidence that it won't work. Yes.
Yes. See, okay. Melissa said, I don't know if you heard her, unless she comes up with concrete evidence that it is not going to work, then I will do what? I will not.
You will keep going.
I will keep going until
I say that it works.
Until she said that it works. So now here's my dilemma with what Melissa just told me. This is my problem I would have had before my therapist session today. Would be, okay, if you have a problem with what I'm saying about, or if you have a problem with, in this case, let's say Airbnb, I would ask you, okay, what is the problem that you have? If I solve that problem, I'm thinking that we're all good. That's what I'm thinking. I believe you're saying that that's not the case.
So it is the case, but it's also kind of like sometimes something doesn't feel right, or doesn't feel like what should be done in that moment in time.
Okay.
But that's not concrete.
Yes. So that what Melissa just said to me would, I don't know how to respond to that. If we're having a conversation about Airbnb and she says, I don't think it feels right, and I go, why? And if she says to me, I don't know, I don't know how to respond to that. Huh?
You don't care. You be like, oh, well.
That's not true. I do care. I'll ask you. Because this is my thing. I'll go, okay, it doesn't feel right. What about does not feel right? That's what I'll ask. I'm like, okay, well, because I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. So when that happens, now, if you don't give me a response, I feel as though this is when I will think your anxiety is causing you to react to what is happening. And that's when I'll get more annoyed, because I'm like, okay, you're not even considering what we're talking about. You're just going off of you're being anxious, and I don't know how to respond to that. And that's what will cause the problems for me.
I think you don't trust how I feel because you feel like it's rooted in anxiety.
That is very true. What? Oh, so I don't know if you heard her. Melissa said that she feels as though I don't trust her feelings because it's rooted in anxiety.
Because you think it's rooted in anxiety.
Oh, because I think it's rooted in anxiety. Yes. The only time that I feel like that is when I will ask her what's wrong and she does not have an answer as to why it's wrong. So that leads me to believe that this is only a feeling, and that doesn't work for me because I don't know how to respond to that. There's nothing I can do about a feeling. I don't know what's going to make this feel right. I don't know what to do with that. So if I'm making a decision based off of what you think feels right and wrong, nothing I say or do can help that because I don't know why you feel this way. That's how I interpret that. When I asked Melissa to answer, tell me, what are you thinking right now? If I ask me, tell me what you're thinking. He said that, no, that's not what it was. Not what it was. When I communicate something to Melissa or try to, and it comes off misinterpreted, let me not even say that. If I think it comes off harsh, right? She may respond in a way that I feel is unnecessary, unwarranted. So I'll be confused, like, wait, why are you responding like that? And then I will get like even more annoyed or anxious, and I'll go, damn, why did you, like, what was that about? So now then I go back, and again we're back in this cycle. So an analogy that he compared this to was, he gave me two, but I think I'm gonna go with the second one because I feel like he changed it for a specific reason. But he said that, listen, you're throwing a football at Melissa, at her head, right? You spiral football right at her head, and you feel like, and she gets the football, possibly catches it, and she's like, yo, what was that about? And throws it back at me. Now, this is what he gave me as an example. So what he was trying to communicate to me is that I shouldn't be throwing the football like that because I want to be very direct when I'm talking. I'm like, okay, I always think that the best way to respond to somebody is with what I'm thinking in my head, because then there's no confusion. If you say something to me and I'm like, no, that's wrong, that's what I'm gonna say because that's what I'm thinking. My brain goes to, no, that doesn't make any sense, and I'm expecting the other person to then have that conversation with me and going, okay, this is what I think, and I go, okay, well, this is what I think, and then we go back and forth. That's how my brain works. That's how it's gonna play out in a conversation, right? But what normally happens is somebody will say something to me, right? And then my response will be, no, that's wrong. That does not make sense. They may be offended by that. So their response back to me will have a slight insult or jab in the conversation. So here'll be an example. This is hypothetical. If I say, no, that doesn't make any sense, the person will go, it does make sense. You never know what you're talking about. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Like, why was that line in there? Like, what was that about? So now I'm sitting there thinking like, damn, that was kind of crazy. What made them say that? Not knowing that it was me that caused them to say that because of how I tried to communicate what I was thinking to them. So he gave me a way to kind of mitigate that. I forgot exactly what it was. I think it was, he was saying that I should ask myself, I think it was two things he said. How will it be interpreted by the other person, what I'm saying? And I think he said to put myself in a different state of mind before asking the question. He said, because, and as an example I gave earlier where I say something to Melissa, she doesn't understand what I'm saying, or, oh, I feel like that, I will go, what did you hear me say? Right? And that already has a bad connotation to it. So now her response may not be the best. And then again, we're back in this cycle. So I should put myself in a state of mind like, okay, what do I want to ask Melissa right now? Okay, I feel as though what I'm saying was not communicated properly, whatever. He said I should try saying something along the lines of, in a ballpark of, I'm sorry, I didn't say that correctly. what I meant to say was, or let me rephrase what I was saying. Something along those lines. I'm not really a fan of saying I'm sorry, so that didn't really work for me. The reason I prefer not to use the words I'm sorry is because I feel like it's one of those subtle, what would you call those? It's not, what is that word? I think it's self-deprecating. That's what it is. I feel like it's one of those subtle self-deprecating words that people say that internally make them feel bad, because you're saying, in my opinion, it's how I feel. When you say I'm sorry, you're saying that you're a sorry person, and I don't believe that I'm a sorry person. So I may say I apologize, but I won't say that I'm sorry. So that's something that I do. So I have to put it into something that makes comfortable for me to then respond to Melissa in that situation. But like I said, the reason I'm bringing most of this up is because I feel like, one, I don't think that I communicated this properly last week, and two, it's going on in my life. So I think that transparency is the best way to communicate with people, and so that's why I am trying to be as open and transparent as possible about it. But I also, some other things too, because this is actually very, I think I had a breakthrough today personally. So something else that was said, he asked me, do I think that Melissa and I are compatible? I think that's what he said, right? And he asked me the question, because I've been thinking like, damn, should me and Melissa break up? Because I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this. I don't know if this will work. I've been thinking like, damn, I don't know. And when he asked me that question, it was so clear to me that we should be together. It was so, and I don't know why the question was like that, but it was like, nah, like, why? Yeah, we're definitely compatible, like 100%, right? And I don't know why I've never had that clarity before he asked me that question. So when we went through it, he was explaining to me that the anxiety is not that big of an issue, because that's something that can be fixed. And if that's the only issue you're having, then you don't really have that many issues. Because he said that, he said he's worked with people before that have anxiety. He's worked with couples that have anxiety. He's worked with different situations like that. So he knows things that can help with that. So I'm like, okay, fine. He's like, but if you had a situation where she was dependent on you and you didn't like that, and you want her to be less dependent, but she needs to be dependent on you, that's how she feels comfortable. He said that you can't really get around. He said you can't, that's kind of a deal breaker. That's something that's going to be really hard to get over. But for me, like I said, it's mostly just the anxiety thing. I don't like to be in a state of franticness and a state of anxiety. It makes me feel uncomfortable. So I try to stay away from those things as much as possible. And if it happens to be my girlfriend causing that, then that's where the problem comes in. Because like, damn, you can't avoid your girlfriend because she's your girlfriend. That's not going to work as a relationship. So he said something. He said about that, and it was just, like I said, that to me really clarified in my mind that I want to be with Melissa. I don't know how to deal with the anxiety. I don't know what to do with it or for it. And so that's kind of what it was. And then I was just thinking, like, I don't know, because I don't know, because I don't know if Melissa's anxiety is a part of who she is, or what would you call it, or like a side effect of something that happened to her. So I don't know if that counts as like who she is in her core. That's what I don't know. And that's just something that I guess we have to figure out from talking and trying to get better at understanding it, and trying to up our communication skills. I have realized from my conversation with my therapist that I don't want to say this. I don't know, that I think that my communication skills are not as great as I think they are. I think that I am very likable. I think that I can build rapport with people, but I think that when it comes to communicating what I'm thinking to people, I think that's where I have a hurdle to get over, and I have to work on that. So let me see. But that, that's kind of it for that. Anything that I missed that you wanted to bring up? Okay. So there's something else too that I think is interesting. We're almost at that point. A great podcast to me is emotional right? Where you can actually be who you are or just be emotional, whether it's fake or real. I think that is what people want. People want to feel that emotion, whatever. However, I think that with the reason why I think the podcast can negatively affect me in a relationship is because I can't even say that. I was going to say that it'll expose the holes in your relationship, but I don't think that exposing holes is a negative thing. I don't think that's bad. I think that it's positive because I know I got to a point where I was just like, I'm not even going to talk about it because it's never going to be fixed. It can't be changed. Just leave it alone. It is what it is. I got to that point. So I think that in a situation where a person has decided to not talk about it, having a podcast definitely goes against that. So if you're building a relationship based off of not talking about your problems, then talking about them will then stop what you tried to do in the first place. You get what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm saying? So try and say more I than you. I learned that in last week's podcast. Gotta do that more. Gotta talk more about me and not say you, because I'm not a guru. I'm just a guy who is being transparent about his life and just saying it, put it out there, and then just getting feedback. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Did not go to gender reveal. That didn't happen. Being more specific, gotta work on that. But that's pretty much it for episode playback. I think that pretty much wraps episode playback up. And then this is Donovan's question for the week. If you and your friends were going to the same place, right? Let's say that one of your friends at a party, right? There's 4 of y'all, 3 of y'all. Friend A, friend B, and friend C. Friend A is having a party, right? Friend C is taking friend A to the party. If you are friend B in the middle, is it wrong if that person drives by your house to pick up the person whose party it is and take them to the party and not pick you up? Is that a wrong thing to do? That's my question. And how would you feel about that? That's Donovan's question for the week. But I think we had a very fun podcast today. I think another thing I learned today, it's definitely better for me to talk when I can see myself on the camera. As opposed to the camera over here, I can't see myself, so it's just blackness. I'm just talking into darkness. But over here, I can see myself, so it helps. But if you haven't already, you can check out our social medias. Mine is DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and you have the phenomenal the phenomenal, amazing, beautiful girlfriend, AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. We have 6 different projects. Okay, we have the food project, we have the clothing project, we have the music project, we have the fitness project, we have the sports project, and we have the Bamboo Project podcast, which you just finished listening to right now. You know what it is. Hashtag Bamboo Project 2021. We going up all year. You know the vibes. And with that being said, Bamboo Project